Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Build Your Copywriting Business podcast. Hey there, Kate.
Hello, hello.
Hello. Okay, guys, we are going to dig into job descriptions or job postings, I guess, job descriptions for open positions that you might be interested in applying for. Whether you want to be full-time on staff there or whether you maybe want to work for them as a freelancer, you know that they have the work that needs to be done. So it can be a great opportunity to apply, even if you're a freelancer.
And as a reminder too, job postings are just a small fraction of the available opportunity. Comprehensive Copywriting Academy students know that you are not limited by what's posted on Indeed or LinkedIn or Monster or wherever you're looking at job descriptions. There's so many more opportunities out there. But we did want to address because sometimes looking at these job descriptions can be a little disorienting, especially at first, and if you're not sure what you're looking at.
Exactly. Yes. Thank you for noting that. Yeah. First of all, absolutely look at job listings because again, whether you want to be full-time, whether you want to be freelance, it's worth taking a look at them. And you can set up automated emails that will send them to you. You can get job listings for your town. You can get job listings for remote positions. By the way, I feel like I see so many more remote than ever before. So take advantage of that. But I think one of the first mistakes that people make when they are reading through a job description is that they take everything in a job description as written in stone, completely literal. This is exactly how it has to be. And that is absolutely not the case.
Yeah. And as if you've listened to the podcast before, we reference all the time Mike Lamb, who's a Comprehensive Copywriting Academy student, but also just a thriving, successful copywriter. We will link to his episode. He did come on the podcast. I was going to say last year, but it's probably been 2 years now. I don't know. We might need to catch up with Mike. But anyway, he called the job descriptions a wish list, which we just thought was the most brilliant way of looking at these postings.
Exactly. Because that's exactly what it is. A company is saying, hey, this is the ideal scenario. We would love to get someone who has 5 years experience. We would love to get someone who has experience in the automotive realm. We would love to get someone who has a lot of experience with writing Facebook ads. We would love, but that is, again, that is a wish list. That is we would love to get this person, but everybody who posts a job position knows that the right person for that position may have some of those qualifications, may have qualifications that are similar to that. The real life person does not need to literally match that description. And I think that's one of the first ways that people disqualify themselves from applying for jobs that they might be interested in. They look at that long list, again, Mike, a wish list, and they say, because I don't meet every single one of these qualifications, I guess I won't apply for this.
Yeah, don't say no to yourself before someone else does. Why would we ever say no to ourselves? It just doesn't make sense. But we do it because we're humans and we feel like, I'm not qualified. I don't meet 110% of the qualifications. And if you're a woman listening to this podcast, we feel for you because if you Google anything about women and applying to jobs, you've probably heard a statistic, something like this. There's a stat that both the Harvard Business Review and Forbes cite saying that a study was conducted that men apply for a job or promotion when they meet only 60% of the qualifications, whereas women wait to apply if they meet 100% of them. Now, there are other studies that show, is that the right percentage? And obviously studies depending on how many people they surveyed and whatnot, but the LinkedIn Gender Insights report, so specifically to LinkedIn, reported that women apply for 20% fewer jobs. So not even just the qualifications, but that to me, those studies are certainly related because if we're not meeting 100% of the qualifications, that means we're not applying. So therefore, we're putting ourselves out there for 20% fewer jobs on average. So
yes. And
let's change that. Let's change that statistic.
And certainly, too, you do not have to be female to be cutting yourself off from opportunities.
Absolutely.
Men, certainly, I certainly understand that, especially when you're moving into a new field, all of us can feel that hesitation and thinking, all right, well, am I am I good enough? Am I worthy of this role? One thing that I want to remind our CCA students of is that the years specifically that people
Mm-hmm.
are looking for may not correlate exactly with the years of your experience. Our students know that they do a very concentrated amount of work, a lot of study and a lot of practice, and they really build up their skills very, very quickly. Whereas outside of a program like that, it might take someone several years to get that same level of experience and expertise. So, your 6 months in the program might equate to 2 or 3 years of outside experience. So don't, and this is specifically for CCA students, don't see, they're looking for 3 to 5 years experience and think, well, I don't qualify because I've only been working through this for 6 months or for a year. You absolutely do. On top of the fact that, remember, they have to put some amount of experience. If it's like, well, they want at least 2 years experience, they have to put that, because if they say no experience, first of all, you don't have no experience. You have experience. You've been studying. But if they say no experience, they're going to get flooded with applications from people who are absolutely unqualified to do that job.
Yeah.
So the numbers are not equal. There isn't an exact conversion scale. I'm sorry, but we'll give you a whole list of reasons not to disqualify yourself. But I think specifically when it comes down to the math, and I think that's an easy one where they go, I don't have 3 to 5 years. It's not the same. The time is not the same.
Basically, they're saying they want you to have training. They don't want to do on-the-job training. And of course, there'll be things that you do learn on the job, training in specific software. There's no way for everyone to know every single type of email software out there unless you've been doing this for 50 years and worked at many different companies that are all using it. And even then, there's just new technology coming out all the time. So that's to be expected. But when it comes to copywriting, they expect you to have training. And of course, CCA students, you have training. So
yeah, training and experience.
Yeah. And you've practiced. And so you have that experience. You have your portfolio, you have spec pieces, you can show that you know what it is that you're doing. So we thought it would be helpful to look at actual job descriptions that are, as of this recording, we were recording in February of 2024, but these are very representative of things I've seen ongoing. There are certain nuances that might change with time, especially with AI, which we will get to that. But for the most part, these aren't uncommon, is all that's to say, some of these bullet points. And so I think one of the first things to look at too is these are all taken from LinkedIn. And so looking at the responsibilities, and for most of these, for copywriters in the CCA, you will know how to do the bulk of these responsibilities. So I think the required skills and experience is where sometimes people get tripped up saying, well, I don't have that exact skill. So we'll start with some of the responsibilities just as an example. And again, these are pretty similar from job description to job description, especially if you're looking at copywriter job descriptions. I do want to make that distinction, because if you are looking at content writer, the qualifications might be a little bit different. As a copywriter, it's two totally different jobs. Could you still apply to that and reach out? Yes, but know that it might be different, or they might be using content writer in the wrong way as well. Yes, look at the job description, see what they're looking for.
Well, same thing with a social media manager, right? There's some overlap in knowledge, but they're going to be different. Fundamentally different elements of doing that job, which of course makes sense.
Right. Same thing. Yeah. Marketing manager. If you start to go more broad, then yes, your skill set as a copywriter, will it help you? Absolutely. But there will be other skills required that you would need training for, because those are different jobs. So focus, if you want to be a copywriter, focus on the copywriter job listings. And I promise you, there are tons for which you are qualified for. So many, so very many. So responsibilities. So this is an example of one of them. It's for a contract role. But create content that spans multiple channels like digital, print, and long-form content. So they use long-form content, but they're saying content for all of the...
Don't forget that people who are writing these job descriptions are not usually experts in copy. And so we know the difference between copy and content. They might use those terms interchangeably. They might say copy when they mean content. Quite frankly, I see what more often is they say content when they mean copy.
Yes.
Well, actually, I see both. But do just bear that in mind. You'll be able to get context clues if it says like, we want you to write content like emails and ads.
Right.
And okay, so then what they're talking about is copy. Yeah. So just bear
and I
that
think,
in mind.
the long form content is typically what they mean by your blog post, ebooks, more content pieces.
Yes.
So support corporate communications as applicable, formatting, editing content, and proofreading. So they want your copy doc to be clean. They probably don't have an on-staff copy editor is what that tells me. Ensuring the consistency of content and brand tone of voice for different audiences. Duh, to write to the brand voice. You are, if you're a CCA student, you're like, yeah, of course I can do that. I've done a brand guide, a tone guide. Partner with the creatives to make the idea, copy, and design a cohesive story. So again, partner with designers, check. Research competitors in the industry to provide insights into trends and creative foresight. Do you know how to Google? That's and dig into. That's oversimplifying it, yes. But my point is that everyone in the CCA should be like, yes, I can do all of those responsibilities. Knock it out of the park.
I was looking forward to this episode because I knew that Kate was
I get
ragey on this. Get a little riled up, a little passionate.
I'm very passionate because I want everyone to know that this is the opportunity's there, and we're just limiting ourselves and throwing up our own roadblocks. So we're trying to get rid of. I'm passionate about getting rid of those blocks, construction signs that are on your roads to success.
Yeah. So what are more parts of the description that are, and I know that you have done a lot of research and
I know I have so many job descriptions. Exactly. So, I'm going to read some other responsibilities across a few of these just to pull out some different ones. But again, the repetition is across all of these similar. So maintain the highest brand standards and help evolve brand guidelines as we continue to grow. So you're helping them evolve the guidelines. Check. Own copywriting for various mediums, including product pages, marketing collateral, white papers, web pages, presentations, social content, and more.
And they're using own. What they mean is write it and make sure it's consistent across all of these different channels.
Well, they also had a bullet point about that, consistent across all channels, but also defining the voice by channel as per best practice. So CCA students, that there's tone, tone of voice, but then also how that kind of changes just slightly channel to channel, whether you're writing on Instagram, for example, versus an email, there might be nuance there. TikTok versus another social platform. Some other ones, develop concepts campaigns for assigned projects in partnership with other internal teams. So concepting, check. We'll write copy, duh. Sometimes I don't even put that, but
I'd like to point out that that's the second duh of this episode, which actually might be the only two duhs of this entire podcast.
Well, we're going to go for a record here. More collaborate again with design, brand, creative, and social media teams. Follow creative briefs. Come on, that's another duh, right? Like, come on.
I would give you a third duh on that one.
Okay. Deliverables can include headlines, taglines, subject lines, technical copy, and paid social media messages. Attend occasional meetings.
Are you going to say it?
I really want to. Handle feedback and keep moving from first draft to final approval while meeting deadlines. Duh, you're meeting your deadlines. Come on.
I'd say make this a drinking game, except there's too many of them and she's going too
don't.
fast.
I don't want to hurt anyone. I'm not liable for anything that happens during this episode. Another, collaborate with creative directors, so the copy manager, quick moving campaigns. Sure. Okay. So we get the idea. All of the responsibilities across all of these. I was going to say and I have one of these was a senior copywriter one. So know that. I'm not sure which one, to be honest, but I did pull one that was a ACD position. So associate creative director, which if you're a copywriter, the typical, if you will, junior copywriter, sometimes usually just copywriter, senior copywriter, ACD copywriter, creative director, if you're kind of following that route. But so responsibilities must be comfortable with a fluid schedule, working across multiple projects at once, and can partner with a cross-functional team of creatives, communications, content professionals, production partners, and various key stakeholders. High level of social first craft. So this is specifically a lot of social media copy that this person would be writing. Ideal candidate is a conceptual thinker, has a finger on the pulse of social trends and culture, and is a strategic and proactive problem solver. So again, you're coming with ideas to this. That's the expectation, especially at the ACD level. You're going to be kind of driving more things. But again, you'll work across many projects at once. That's a given. None of this, and there's nothing else that stands out to me. So all that's to say is even at that associate creative director level, none of this should feel unachievable by any means.
Exactly. I think one of the things that it's worth discussing is, what about when you see a job description out there that has they're looking for you to write the copy. They're looking for you to to design things. They're looking for you to post on social media. They're looking for you to do their SEO, all of that kind of stuff.
And I'm not going to lie, we will answer that question, but I looked at, no joke, spent a good amount of time, probably more than I should, going down the LinkedIn rabbit hole of these job descriptions and pulling these, and I didn't find any for a copywriter specific role that requested those things, or even had it as, sometimes they break it out as roles, responsibilities, qualifications, whatnot, and requirements, and then sometimes kind of like, oh, and also nice if you have this other experience. I didn't even see anything like that, because again, they're posting for a copywriter role.
They want a copywriter.
Yeah. They don't want a designer. They don't want a social media manager. They would post for social media manager if that's what they wanted. And maybe the social media manager, they'd say, hey, would be nice if you had copywriting skills in addition, but all that's to say.
Yeah.
But
I agree.
Yes, to answer your question, what do you do if they ask for all of that?
Yeah, I agree. I do think those are fewer and far between. And the thing is that to me, those are indicative. Talk about wish list. This is like the kid who writes to Santa Claus and wants a real train and the ability to fly and, all that kind of stuff. It's they to me, that's indicative of a company that's like, well, let's put it out there and see what we can get.
He wants the Polar Express.
He wants the Polar Express. It's not a realistic. That is very, very much. It's either wait. It's either very, very much a wish list, or this company has
red
such
flag.
Huge red flag. They have totally unrealistic expectations about what they can get, because you can't get someone who is an expert in copywriting, an expert in CEO, an expert in graphic design, an expert in social media. You can't get that all in one person and pay them. Frankly, I doubt if you can get that all in one person at all, but you
at
can't
the same high quality level. You might get someone that can do it all mediocre.
Exactly. But you'd have to pay someone at least
exorbitant.
$250,000 a year to get an expert in all of that stuff. Yeah. But so this company, again, either it's truly like, hey, let's throw stuff at a wall and see what we get back, or they have totally unrealistic expectations, and it is a red flag. But again,
especially because it would slow a project down. If you are have to do all of those things from start to finish, there's no way that you would get a lot done in a year. And no company wants to be like, okay, we're going to redesign our whole website, and it's going to take the entire calendar year because this person has to write it and design it and develop it. And just no.
Yeah, exactly. But again, it is few and far between. And you want to work for the kind of company that is looking for an expert in copywriting. And they post a copywriting job because they're looking for a copywriter. And there are plenty of those.
Yes. So let's get into qualifications. So this is sometimes they requirements, qualifications, required skills and experience. That's kind of some of all the headers, the different headers that people use within these job descriptions. So again, the years of experience, the ones I saw for a copywriter, this one says 3 to 5 years of experience. Senior copywriter role, that's 5+ years of experience. This one didn't even put years of experience at all. So there's quite a range. But again, even those 3 to 5 years of experience, I would not be deterred. If I was a CCA student, I would not be deterred by any means.
No, listen to Mike's episode, the one we linked to in the reason that
notes,
exactly in the show notes. Thank you. The reason that he talks about it being a wish list, and the reason that we especially wanted to highlight him and his story, is that he applied. He had been, I forget exactly how long he had been a CCA student, but he applied right away to a senior copywriter position and landed it without years and years and years and years of experience.
Yeah. So, and if you're watching the YouTube version, I have another screen. That's why I apologize. That's why it looks like you're ignoring me. I know, I'm ignoring. Okay, where are we? Qualifications: fluent in English. So again, if you're depending what language you're writing in, you want to be fluent in that language as a copywriter, which makes sense. Excellent writing and grammar skills, strong research and fact checking skills to ensure accuracy and originality, especially because they are fact checking some AI responses for this company. And this company specifically, it's an AI company. They train AI chatbots. So you were still writing copy for chatbots.
and they're hiring a copywriter. Did you hear that? They're an AI company and they're actively hiring a copywriter. So again, is
because
AI
they know they
gonna
have to
take
fact
over
check
our
their
jobs?
responses. That's part of the job too. So this is copywriter plus your fact checking AI responses, which sometimes can fall in kind of. Sometimes there's someone else that would be doing that sort of thing, but sometimes it can fall in a more junior copywriter role. Which again, though, because AI has crummy responses, and so they need the human.
Yeah.
And then this one says bachelor's degree. But again, even if you don't have a bachelor's degree, I wouldn't be deterred if you have a portfolio that shows your work. So that's one of the qualifications. I'd be like, Boop.
Exactly. And specifically too, they're not saying a bachelor's degree in copywriting. They are just saying a bachelor's degree, right? They're just setting that as
this doesn't even have anything. There's no, not even like journalism or nothing even remotely marketing. No, just about it. In fact, there's only one other I think that said bachelor's degree. Let me see if I can find it. And it didn't have a.
And I've seen
actually none of these. I take it back. That might have been the only one.
There you go. And I've seen bachelor's degrees in journalism or marketing or another writing career. The reason they're asking for that is because they want someone who comes in knowing how to write.
Yep.
You as CCA students, you have gotten that training. So again, cross it off. You're all set, good to go.
All right. What else is there for qualifications? Juggle multiple projects, prioritize and meet deadlines. Again, that fell under responsibilities for another one. But so they're requiring that of you, which makes sense. They want you to do your job. Ability to write clear, concise, and engaging copy for a variety of audiences. Strong understanding of the principles of effective copywriting, including tone, style, and readability. Excellent communication and interpersonal skills. Actively listen to truly understand the ask. So again, creative brief and asking questions and making sure before you start executing, you get it. But then also client feedback and internal feedback. So CCA students, you've posted, you've gotten feedback from other writers, you know how to incorporate that into your work. You know how to ask questions if you don't understand what someone's asking in terms of the feedback. And kind of one of the last ones, and it only came up in one, obviously the AI chatbot one that was for a chatbot role that they were hiring copywriter for. But in qualifications for only one of the roles that I saw, and again, this is just from a smattering of postings, but was experience using Jasper and or ChatGPT. And this is for the senior copywriter role. And so basically what they're saying is, hey, we know we need a senior copywriter for this role. We would love if you had experience using something like ChatGPT to, whether it's brainstorm or to ask it questions to get to answers faster. It can tally up things in a document. If you're like, we recommended this many things to these, but how many things did we recommend in this? And ChatGPT can say tally things up for you, or
yeah, it's not just writing your copy.
Yeah.
It can be an automated assistant in a lot of ways. It's not something to be afraid of.
Yeah. They want it for efficiency. So then the only other thing to call out on a couple of these, and again, there weren't too many, nice to haves, but some of the things that they preferred or nice to haves and that sort of thing, again, it's preferred. So they're calling it out for you that this is just a wish list item. So for example, one was a pharmacy company. So pharma ad agency experience is preferred. Again, not necessary. For something like that, what you could do and what Mike did actually is create a spec piece for them to say, hey, I took a look and here's something I thought of. Again, you're not spending, 5 hours on it by any means, but if you really see something that you really want, and especially if it has one of these kind of preferred things and you're like, I can do that, let me prove it to them, then go for it. So similarly, for the senior copywriting role, is experience working in SaaS, which is software as a service, product or tech company, is a big plus. Again, they're not saying it's mandatory. This one, actually, I do want to call back, though, experience partnering with the designer. That was a qualification. So it comes up. They want you to know how to collaborate. It's a real thing. So if you don't believe us, believe the job descriptions. And then this one, experience with UX writing, is a plus. Again, not necessary. UX writing is its own separate
outside
beast.
of copywriting. Exactly.
And so that's, I feel like them being like, well, we might need a UX writer too, but if we can get 2 in 1, we'll get by with it. So again, wish list item.
Exactly. UX is short for user experience, and it generally is the copy that leads you through an interaction with an app or a website or something along those lines. It can be directive copy, click here, input your
Mhm.
information here, all that it kind of
Yep.
leads them through an interaction.
Mhm.
And certainly there can be some overlap, and maybe you'll do some UX writing, but it is a separate specialty.
Yeah. That one also said startup experience is a plus. What that indicates to me is that sometimes startups can be very busy, and you might have a lot of autonomy. And so if you like autonomy, this might be a great role for you. I wouldn't necessarily make assumptions. That's kind of my interpretation of it. I would still apply to the job. I would go, and if they got back to me, again, why limit yourself? You can say no. You can apply to this job. You can meet with them. You can go through all the stages of the interview. They might not offer you the job, but if they do, you don't have to take it, which I think is what we forget, that like just because we go through this process doesn't mean we have to end up working with this client. And so to me, I'd be like, oh, startup. Okay. They're going to be will I even have a manager? Will I have to be guiding this more than, my copywriter role says? Will I be more of kind of like running the show, which is fine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which could be a fun opportunity.
Absolutely.
Maybe that's what you want to do. Yeah.
But again, I don't know that until I actually meet with them and can kind of ask the questions of, hey, who would I be reporting to? What's the day-to-day like? And get a sense for what that actually means, because startup experience is a plus. Startups are all different. Every single one's different. So I think they just want a self-starter is what that means. But don't let it limit you. Don't make the assumptions. Get on the phone with them. Get on a call.
Yeah. There's no downside to applying for these jobs. No downside. Worst case scenario, they say thanks, but no thanks. Best case scenario, maybe you end up with a job, and that's whether on staff or whether that's freelance.
And one of the last ones I want to call out was on the ACD, again, Associate Creative Director. So again, typically hire on in their career. One of their preferred qualifications, and this is for a big company. I'm not going to name drop the company, but it's a company you would know. You would all know this company. Every single one, I'd be confident. But experience working in tech is a preferred qualification. And this is a tech company hiring an ACD role. So even then, it's not a deal breaker. And I think I saw in one of them too, agency experience is a plus. The agency question is always, it feels like a catch-22. How do I get into an agency? Because agencies want agency experience. Again, go for it and demonstrate that you know what you're doing and can thrive in this environment.
Exactly. Agencies are happy to hire. It's all about you being able to do good work.
Yeah.
You can do good work, and agency will hire you. Absolutely.
Yeah. And how you reach out to them and apply for these roles is what's going to be the huge difference in just standing out from everyone else.
Exactly. First key point, never, ever, ever do that one-click easy apply, or whatever they call it on all the different websites. They just press this button and then you immediately apply. Never, ever, ever. All you do is you get lumped in with, I'm not joking, probably 500 applicants. Whenever we post anything in the easy apply, it's 500 applicants. And you know what? Good luck standing out in 500. You just can't. And on the other side, quite frankly, it's really annoying on the job poster side. It's really annoying. We don't like one-click apply either. So do not use the one-click apply, but also do not then just go and apply through their website. You want to avoid being lumped in with a bunch of other people. And Comprehensive Copywriting Academy students, you know exactly how to do this. The same system that you use to pitch clients for freelance work is exactly what you can do to pitch companies to work there. And again, whether you want to freelance for them or whether you want to work for them on staff, use the exact same system. Your cover letter should effectively be a pitch. Because again, it's all about being helpful and all about showing that you are strategic and that you will hit the ground running as soon as you start working with them.
Yeah. You're showing how you can add value from the get-go. And again, we always say it's going the extra mile. And then we're like, it's not really the extra mile. I think creating a specific spec piece maybe is the more of a mile. But this, just sending an idea and sending through to the hiring manager, and again, CCA students, you know how to do that. It's just that's the extra inch. It's showing, here's an idea I already have. I want to partner with you. I've already looked at your website. I'm not just mass spamming a bunch of companies that I might want to work with. I'm taking the extra 5-10 minutes to tailor this to you.
Yeah. And by applying to the hiring manager, like Kate said, instead of going through the internal HR person or something, you're avoiding that gatekeeper. The person who has the leeway to say, well, they don't have 5 years experience, but look at the sample they have in their portfolio. I want to talk to this person. The person who has the knowledge to be able to make those decisions and the experience to make those decisions is the hiring manager.
Yeah.
So you want to pitch / apply, whatever you want to call it, directly to the hiring manager. And if you're not positive who the hiring manager is, it's okay. Do your best guess as to who is probably hiring, because if you put together a good pitch, a good application, which of course you will, and it doesn't get to the right person, they're going to forward it to the right person. So there you have it. Kate has gotten all of her passion out.
Therapy for me. Thanks all for
therapy. She's feeling really good now.
Please apply. And if you're a CCA student, let me know if this was helpful in the group and let us know what you've applied to.
Exactly. I was just going to say, I hope that this feels good for you too, because what you should be taking away from this is that all of these opportunities are open to you. There's no point at looking at a job and coming up with reasons not to apply for it and looking for reasons not to apply for it.
Or feeling like you have to be all the things to all the people. You don't.
You absolutely don't.
You are enough.
You are enough. Yes. You are enough. You are fantastic. Apply for these work. People need the skills that you have. Go out there and help these companies. Yeah. So with that, we will catch you guys in the next episode. Bye, everybody. Like what you heard? Hit subscribe so you never miss a video. And if you're ready to take the first step toward becoming a copywriter yourself, sign up for a free video training right here.